What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel for another ghost discussion because I'm obsessed with this show and this cast. Rebecca Wisocky, welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me. Is this actually a ladies' night or is this a casual conversation?
This is a casual Halloween-specific conversation, but I will put it out there. The door is wide open for a ladies' night every time. I'm determined to make my way through your entire ensemble for ladies' night.
Lovely. We need to come visit us.
I would absolutely. Okay, wait. So the next time I get to see you all in person and like the interview setting is conducive to this, my first big question, because Danielle was bringing this up to me, are you in on the competitive Scrabble playing that's happening?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, it's no longer happening because Danielle put a stop to it. Did she tell you that?
Okay, yeah. She told me it had to come to an end because it was getting too intense.
Yes, she's the wisest amongst us. And I think it started, we're all very verbal and really into games. There's games in the tents and things. And when we took our break for Christmas last year, we were, I mean, as sick as it sounds, because we spent every moment together in Montreal, we kind of missed each other. And so we started doing this online Scrabble and it got really intense, really competitive and nonstop. And Danielle at a certain point, and we all kind of thought she was joking, just said, you know what, for the good of the family, y'all, we need to delete this app. You need to delete this app right now. And we thought she was joking, but then we did it and we realized, yeah, we could have gone to a dark place with the Scrabble.
So. I have so many questions about this. First, I need to know, was this Words with Friends or is there another Scrabble app that, lets you play with more people?
One. Yeah, no, I used to play Words with Friends. It's a different one. I can't remember what it is now. I can't remember what it is, but we got very confused.
I mean, you not being able to remember what it is probably better off for me. Yeah. This question feels a little too intense, but who was the best? Who was the best Scrabble player?
Oh, well, Richie's a killer. I'm pretty good. Asher got very, very competitive, and I'm not saying that he would cheat, but no, I shouldn't even put that out there because that is sacrilege in the Scrabble community. So no, everyone was really good and everyone got super into it.
I play a lot of Words with Friends with people, and I assume the worst of people when I see a word that who is going to think of that you are using a dictionary or a word finder.
I'm not saying that was going on, but the desire to dominate was strong.
Well, one day I'm going to bring the competitiveness back and I'm going to show up to an in-person interview with my bananagrams bag and I'm going to teach you all bananagrams.
I love bananagrams. I loved bananagrams so much. I haven't played in a while.
I really love it. It's a great game, but now no one will play with me anymore because like I'm pretty good at word games and I get very intense and now my family won't play with me anymore.
Yeah, you know what Danielle's very good at that she brought into the tents is Mancala. Have you ever played Mancala?
Oh, wow. That brings me back to like my sleepaway camp days. I did play a lot of that.
Yeah, and Richie's very into the cribbage. We have the cribbage on set.
Okay.
And there's a basketball hoop and it's a whole camp-like setup. Again, you must come see us.
One day, 'tis the dream. Yeah. I will at least bring bananagrams to add to the pile of games. Good. Let's talk a little bit about Halloween now in particular, because like I'm a big horror lover. This is my time of year. For Hetty, if she had the opportunity to change her outfit, what do you think she would dress up as for Halloween?
Maybe the very same dress in a different color. I don't know. Hetty likes routine. She likes order. She is comforted by the cage of that uniform, I think. I'm not sure. We start to see her let loose a little bit. And you noticed in the possession episode last year, when Hetty Woodstone lets loose, she has pretty voracious, uncontrollable appetites. So, you'll start to see her unwind a little bit.
Okay. The more important question now, are you dressing your dogs up for Halloween?
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that to them. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
As someone who dresses her cat up every single year for Halloween, I think your answer is probably the right answer.
Yeah. They don't need any additional uniform other than the fur coats they've got. Yeah.
That's when you get like a fun Halloween fabric bandana or something. Something
I
super
did. I'll
low key.
confess, last year I did make 3 ghost costumes for them out of pillowcases, and they didn't enjoy it, and so I'm not gonna make them do that. What do you dress your cat up as?
So this is actually Malcolm's very first Halloween, and he's
I
named
know,
after
I was very sorry to hear about your
Thank you for saying that. Dewey paved the way to Malcolm, though, and I'm very thankful for that because I had never been a cat person before Dewey. And Malcolm is named after Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park,
Aw.
so he obviously had to be a dinosaur. And I obviously had to Photoshop him in his dinosaur costume into a frame of Jurassic Park. So we won this year. It worked out well.
Do you have a picture to show?
Oh, that I do. I will. I can send it to you after. It's on my Instagram. But
I love
he
that.
wasn't thrilled with the whole idea. But I got that one good photo that, and that's all I need. That's all I need. Um,
Nice.
Again,
Yeah,
I am obsessed with horror movies, and this is like a little complicated. I have a three-parter for you. I
okay.
want your favorite horror movie, the scariest horror movie you've ever seen, and then also your horror movie dream role, whether it's, casting yourself in something that already exists or maybe planning for something exciting in the future.
Well, I can't stop thinking, and I probably shouldn't say this. The very first movie I ever did, which I don't even know if it qualifies as a movie, it was a horror movie in which I had my spinal fluid ritualistically drained on the beaches of Long Island. It was about a whole I shouldn't even talk about it because I don't even know. I doubt it's findable. But I remember it, yeah, I had to die in this very elaborate way, collapsing into the sand after having been sacrificed. It was a whole group of like young models around town were being, sacrificed for their spinal fluids. It probably was some sort of fountain of youth type of scenario.
Someone told me that I wouldn't be able to find one of their early horror movies recently, and I found that thing and I own it on
Oh,
DVD now.
yeah, no, I don't even think that that's possible. So there's that. I remember, oh, I should have come more prepared because there's a horror movie, maybe it was 10 years ago. Was it called, it was the one where the group of girls go spelunking in the cave. You must
Oh,
know.
are you talking about The Descent?
Yes, God, I loved that movie.
Hands down one of the best horror movies ever made. I'm not being hyperbolic about it. I have a Descent poster downstairs. I'm obsessed with that
You
film.
really?
Yeah.
I loved that movie, and I would love to do a movie like that, but it would really scare me. It would really scare me, but I would love to do it.
I feel like it's only a matter of time before they either remake The Descent or add another installment to that series of films.
Did they not? I have some vague memory that they did, and then
There is
people
a
didn't think
second
they
one.
did. Yeah.
It's
Do
not
you recommend?
it's
Yeah.
not as good. It's not as good.
That bears a rewatch for this Halloween season. But, I don't like being chased. So, boy, I really freak out. It's the one thing I watch football with my husband. Just all I can think about is, oh, all the chasing. I would just, it bothers me a lot. That's the easiest way to freak me out is just to chase me. I'll just stop and turn around and say, just stop it.
Okay.
Yeah, I
This
don't like
is
to be.
this is going to be good ammunition for my last game. But first, I want to
Oh,
talk a little bit about the actual episode here, which is excellent. Halloween
well,
2, The Ghost of Hetty's Past.
yeah.
I don't know how you guys keep doing it, but every single episode of this show just delights me to no end. Um,
Aw.
First thing I wanted to ask you about is just guest stars in general, because obviously the addition of Molly is a big thing in this particular episode. And from my limited perspective, whenever someone new comes into the cast of Ghost, you seem to give them the warmest possible welcome. And I know you've had a lot of guest experience on past shows before.
Yeah.
So on those past shows, is there any particular time where you kind of looked around and you said, I love the way this group of regulars is treating me right now. And when I'm a regular on my own series, I'm going to do that for my guest appearances.
Well, the first, long run action show that had a life that I was a regular on was Devious Maids. And I remember thinking that very clearly. The tone is always set from the number one on the call sheet down, right? And I've, like you said, guest starred on a lot of TV shows. And it just makes all the difference in the world. I mean, that really is a family. There are hundreds of crew members that come there every day. And if the set is a positive place and a warm place, it's your home. And so that's how I think of it. When someone comes to your house, you offer them tea and ask them about themselves, and you want them to make sure they have an enjoyable experience, and that's not put on. I mean, we all happen to be very nice people, and we enjoy having people come play with us, and that's something I'm really proud of, that people walk away saying like, oh, I'd love to be on the show, but also I've had a really great time. So, and Hannah Rose May, let's please name check her, who plays Molly, is so stunningly beautiful and so nice. And, despite being incredibly Irish, was a delight. She was
It's it's not can't be easy to go toe to toe with all of you. So it always like really impresses, especially when I get to meet someone who's new, who I don't know their body of work, and I see them jump into Ghost in particular, and like really play hardcore with all you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of balls up in the air. And especially for the people who come on and play livings, that's a learning curve to realize that you have to be part of, the music of the whole thing, but you can't look at us. I mean, and we just had Lorraine Newman come on, who, I mean, icon, and she exceeded expectation in every possible way. She was magnificent, and but even she was like, oh wow, it's so compelling. You want to talk to us because the ghosts are saying interesting things, but yeah, that's fun to watch people negotiate.
I have a very random ghost ability question. Have you
Yes.
guys discussed much why they can smell things but they can't taste things?
Well, you got to give us something, right? That's what I say about the washing machine thing too. Like that, you could argue that Hetty wouldn't necessarily be moved in such a way by a physical object, but come on, you got to give me that, right?
Fair enough.
Um, Utkarsh Ambudkar's character Jay is keeping this whole, I love that he's such a nerd, that he's so into it, and he ends up being the hero in a lot of the, the trouble we get up to, because he has this knowledge of all these genre films and TV shows and things, and he's able to say like, oh well, what they did in Ghostbusters was you got to just go do this, which happens in this episode, right? Yeah. So he's keeping a whole log of what the ghost rules are.
He is doing one heck of a job still to this day, and I can't imagine anyone topping this. I'm pretty sure he made the best Jurassic Park reference that I've ever heard in any movie or show out there.
What was it?
I mean, he went on and on and on. It was like a whole spiel about, I mean, basically almost like the entire chain of events that happened in Jurassic Park. And I asked him about it, and he told me that it was all improvised, and my mind is just blown from that.
Wait, I need to go back and watch that again. Do you remember what episode it
I
was?
forget the specific episode. It was probably about midway through season 1.
Yeah,
But
he's
he's
a
like
very great
explaining
improviser.
things to Sam, and he's trying to change her mentality. And I'm pretty sure he had brought up the line, like the idea of like, just because you can doesn't mean you should, kind of thing.
Right.
It was
Oh,
just so
yeah.
so brilliantly done.
So wonderful. Such a great series of character choices that he's made, to, what a difficult uh, thing he has to do, and that he's, not only on board, but like deeply nerds out about it and wants nothing more than to be friends with us and interact with us. And, I think it's a delight, and it's a delight to be around. He's, like I said, very good improviser. He's always throwing little like, hey, what if you say this here? Or, we all do that with each other. So that's lots of fun.
Oh, I have an improv question in a minute, because I'm very curious about a certain line that you say in this particular episode. But before getting there, you brought up the idea of the challenge of someone coming in to play a living, and that there's the technicalities of acting as a ghost too. When you were in the vault and doing that particular scene, is doing something like that in a contained space with like 2 other guaranteed people that can always see everybody in play, is that like the most freeing thing in the world, to just be able to play like that and not have to worry about the ghost rules?
It's funny. I don't even think about it. I mean, I love the big, crazy. Well, what do you mean not be able to think about the ghost rules?
Like
It's
they're just stuck in a room. You don't have to worry about the ghost disappearing or someone not being able to see you. It's just 3 people who can actually have a conversation
have
and
a real
interact.
conversation. This is interesting, because I don't even, from Hetty's perspective, I don't ever think of it like that. I think like Hetty is, this is her house. She talks to whoever she wants to. She ignores Jay for the most part. And, Yeah, I love those small scenes, those 2 and 3 person scenes. Yeah, I mean, and you see in the scene in the vault, Hetty, I mean, it's a life or death situation, and Hetty is really just annoyed that she's been put in an uncomfortable situation. She's very selfish. That's one of the things that I love so much is, they've allowed her to take these steps and become a little bit of a feminist and find some sense of empowerment and, social justice and all these things, but at the same time, she's not going to change fundamentally that she's a flawed creature in a big way.
So she's because she even says at the end of the episode, "I've changed," and she very much has changed since day
Yeah.
one when we, the audience, first met her. But I don't know. Do you have any ideas in mind in terms of what like the next level of change can be, and is that change necessary to her ultimately being sucked off? And if she can't change fundamentally to that extent, will she ever get sucked off?
I don't know. I mean, that's the question for every single one of the ghosts. There's some reason. And you start to get into that kind of thought process this season with some of the ghosts, not necessarily me, of like, well, wait, do I really want to actually learn this lesson? If I really become a good person, I won't be your friend anymore because I'll be gone. And what does that mean? And um uh yeah, I'm not sure Hetty will ever completely get it. And that's something that's enjoyable and that's something that feels really human. And that's where so much of the funny lies is, in that. She has a real journey this year of make mistaking empowerment for power. And so she just doesn't ever quite get it, but she gets it enough that allows her friends to keep, trying. So anyway.
I want her to be the best possible version of herself, and I want it for all the characters. But my biggest fear is them achieving that and then them not being on the show anymore.
Or them getting sucked down. I mean, any number of things can happen. Or people can
Okay.
now descend from heaven, apparently.
So
I
we're
mean, the mythology is expanding.
we're
We
referring to that as sucked down.
right. Or no, the going down on us. Alberta coined
Oh
that.
god,
Yeah.
that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
so there's another question that popped into my mind after watching this particular episode because I know when she sent her husband to hell, that was a thing that everyone like maybe that's her power. Now she's also right there when Molly gets sucked off. So is that possibly her power and can the power work both ways? And maybe it wasn't the séance at all.
Well, if there's some way that she can mistake that she's in charge, she'll take it. But I don't necessarily think that her power is to banish people to hell, but she probably enjoys toying with that idea. We don't know if she has a power yet. I think the real sad thing would be if she is profoundly powerless ultimately and is the only one not to actually have a special power. That would be a fun kind of journey to play. But yeah, I'm amazed that we get past standards and practices with some of the things that we say. And as you mentioned, there's a real juicy one at the end of this episode.
It kills me. I'm going
Yeah.
to say it because it's so funny, and I won't
Go
deliver
for
it
it.
funny. I'm going to do it very straight. Let me ride you while you get sucked off. Was that on the page, or did that just come up at the moment?
Oh, you mean did I come up with that? Nope, that was on the page. Joe Port and Joe Wiseman are
Oh, it's
just
brilliant.
that thick.
Brilliant. And
Yeah.
that entire like end, how many times do you have to do that? How do you figure out how big to go? Because yet again, I mean, this happens all the time in the show. The delivery and the energy there is just at a pitch perfect level.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Katie Lock O'Brien, who's our director, and she did the Halloween episode last year too, and she always gets the episodes that are the most complex, the most heavy with all kinds of crazy things and pyrotechnics, and she literally burned the house down last year, or burned the pergola down, and so she did this one too, and so there were a whole lot of things going on. There was a rigging and a stunt actress being raised up into the sky and the light coming down. And we only had a couple chances to really get that. I'm glad that you think that we got it. I haven't seen it yet. So, um, yeah, that one was very technically challenging. And of course, all the entire cast was there in the room for that. So, yeah, did I answer the question?
I mean, yeah, sure. It's great. I
Wait,
love
no,
it.
but I want to. What was the heart of the question? What was I thinking?
Honestly, I don't even know. I guess just figuring out like the that pitch perfect level of like energy and desperation and I guess shock too.
There's a lot of Hetty does a lot of she she's very contrary, you know. She'll change her mind in the middle of a sentence, and she can literally, you know, leap up and you know, beg to be sucked off and and utilize someone else's, you know, train trip there, and then turn around, call them peasants and say, "Oh, just get over it." And they will. They'll get over it because they don't have very high expectations for Hetty's moral character, I think. Yet they still love her. So, yeah.
That's
I
what
mean, it's all
matters.
about that misdirect and the, you know, turning on a dime kind of thing, which I get to do a lot in the show.
So good, so good. I've already kept you too long. If you have another 2 minutes, I have a game for you.
Okay.
All right. So, one of my absolute favorite games to play. It is a slasher movie survival game.
Ooh,
So, we'll paint a picture for you. A mass slasher appears on the set of Ghosts. I'm going to give you some horror movie superlatives, and you need to tell me which cast member, like the real person, not their character, best suits this descriptor.
okay.
All right. So, first, who is the most likely to not realize that they're in a horror movie and go and investigate a strange noise and be the first one to get killed by the slasher?
Probably Rose.
Oh, okay.
She's a good leader. She's a great leader. She's a great protector, and she would want to go investigate.
Okay. I like how you
Yeah.
spun that around into a positive thing.
It
Like
is positive. I
usually
mean,
usually the answer I get is someone who's kind of like not paying attention and the most oblivious and it's just like whatever, I'll go there and that's it.
no, I see it as she would be, you know, the misguided hero.
Okay. I like that.
Not that she's
Who
misguided. Yeah.
who is the most likely to sacrifice themselves for the others?
Mm. Probably Devin. Although nothing could kill Devin. Um, Probably Danielle.
I would also I feel like I would believe this descriptor true of all of you.
That we would sacrifice ourselves?
Yeah. You guys are
I
like a
mean,
genuine family.
you know what? There actually is a plot line later in the season that this is reminding me of, Perry.
Interesting. I'm going to
Yeah,
file that away for later. Here's
yeah.
a less flattering one. Who is the most likely to trip and fall while running from the killer?
Well, if I'm in costume, me for sure.
Oh,
But
that
not
was
in
an easy
costume?
one.
Who's likely to trip and fall? I don't know. We're all pretty athletic. Why would you make me throw people under the bus like this? Who would be the most likely to trip and fall? None of us. Oh, maybe Brandon. I mean, Brandon. Yeah, no, Brandon's an athlete. Trip and fall. I won't do it. I refuse.
I
We
mean,
all get out alive, except for Rose.
oh, yeah. Okay, we've established that. Who is the most likely to figure everything out first and actually give the group a fighting chance of surviving?
Perry, I hate this game. I mean, again, that would also possibly be Rose.
I kind of like this picture that I'm building right now where like Rose is the answer to every question and it's a horror movie just starring Rose in every role.
Wouldn't you want to see that though?
No, but I genuinely would watch
Because
that.
she's a plausible answer for actually every single one of those questions.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll throw you a curveball one. I
Okay.
love this because I play this game with my family all the
Mhm.
time and we like try to figure out who would survive and my sister always says that this one is her. She'll full out admit it on her own. Who is the most likely at the start to basically say like fuck this, it's too scary, I'm leaving and just
That would be
give up?
Danielle. Danielle would say, I nullify the game. Yeah. Yeah, she could do that. She would have the power to do that. Yeah.
All right, I'll end with this one now. Who is the most likely to be the one that everybody thinks is dead, that got killed by the slasher, but is actually alive and comes back at the last possible second to save the day?
Probably Asher.
Okay.
Because it would be funny too. It would be funny too.
I
Yeah.
feel like I could see that as well. All right, I gotta let you go. I feel like you gotta get back to work. You gotta make more ghosts for us all because it's
You
delightful. It
gotta
makes me
make the
happy.
ghost donuts. Yeah. It's a pleasure as always, Perry.
Always. Congratulations. I cannot wait to see more.
Thank you so much and happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
You and your poor cat.